keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. We are not going to destroy our terms with him. We are going to make him feel that we are only walking on his footprints. Okay, first of all, we should not let him for a moment figure out that, we are working against his interests. If that happens, he has massive contacts in the industry, will be fucked big time. And lead them in the right direction. That is why I've been into touch with you guys.
Exactly.
If I am wrong, I'm saying, you correct me. Because you have the scientific know-how, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe it was my ego which was talking the other day when I was, trying to get into arguments with you guys, okay? I accept it. I'm not as technical as you guys, okay? Even though I'm ISSS certified, ISSS certification. Okay? So let me rely on your technical know-how and let me guide people based on your knowledge.
From the title of this video and the audio clips you just heard, I think most of you have got a fair idea of what this video is going to be all about. I want to say this upfront. This video has the potential to upset a lot of people. My name is Aman and I'm speaking today on behalf of myself and Team Alfraj. Now, before I begin, I want to say one thing right off the bat. This is a video we didn't want to do. We really didn't want to do this. Just assembling the audio recordings and the screenshots was, to put it mildly, a very depressing experience. And this whole endeavor just seems so ridiculous that we've been putting off doing this for a while now. But this is something we just couldn't let pass. And as this video progresses, you realize why we had to do this. And I think for a lot of you watching, this is going to be an eye-opener. Especially for those of you who are currently working in the fitness industry, there's a good chance that you may encounter something of this nature. And for those of you who aren't directly associated with the fitness industry, and I'm talking about most of you individuals who follow and idolize your favorite bodybuilders and athletes, this will give you guys some insight of what goes on behind the scenes. Most of you just see their photographs, videos, and articles, but there's a lot of dirt and filth which happens behind the scenes. And this experience I'm about to share will hopefully shed some light on this. This story began on the 18th of July. This was the day we launched the Kaizad Kapadia debate challenge. And one of the things we shared was a video where we broke down a terrible blunder Kaizad Kapadia made in one of the New Life YouTube videos. And underneath our post, a man named Jitendra Chouksey made some very misinformed and arrogant remarks. And by the way, I think I should say this. Jitendra was someone we never knew, we never heard of, and had absolutely no problem with. And as you can see, he came on our page and basically challenged our calculations. Now, before I proceed, I think I should say this. The comments you see on your screen were from a conversation which was happening on my profile page. There were basically two conversations happening simultaneously. One on the Alfraj Facebook page and one on my profile page. The reason I'm showing you the screenshots on my page is because Jitendra has deleted all his comments from the Alfraj Facebook page and I don't have a record of them. So anyway, as you can see, I shared Vivek's response, and instead of acknowledging it and responding to our answer, he completely ignored it and went on this trolling spree, where he started calling us names and made some very childish comments. We spoke to him for a bit, but the conversation had reached a point where we basically had enough of his nonsense. So we decided to take matters into our own hands, got his phone number, and gave him a call. To put it mildly, this was one of the most frustrating and ridiculous conversations I've ever had. Going into this, we thought that this guy would at least have a basic understanding of physics, since he essentially challenged our calculations. I'm going to play a short clip which took place 20 minutes into the conversation. And by this time, it wasn't even a conversation anymore. It had literally turned into a junior school science lesson. Listen to this.
Okay, so that's why are the coordinates of the center of mass, right? Yeah. Okay, yes.
Now, can you know what is the direction of gravitational force? It would be on the center of mass. Where will the force be acting? The gravitational force. What will be the direction of center of the gravitational force on center of mass?
Jitendra, that's a big hint, huh? That's a big hint.
Sorry.
That's a big hint. That should make things very clear for you.
See, all I'm saying is that you have to consider the fact that what you have done here is fine. Okay, you have explained that in this particular case.
So here's a man who comes on our page, publicly attacks us, and challenges our calculations, and he doesn't even know the direction of gravity. Vivek was basically trying to test him here and see how much he really knows. And at this point, I was literally just slamming my head against the wall. But I want to say one thing. We never mocked him or made fun of him during this entire conversation. We genuinely wanted to help him understand our calculations and clarify his doubts, even though they were very basic and childish to say the least. Vivek was very patient and polite with him, and finally, around 30 minutes into the conversation, Jitendra admitted his mistake and said that we were right. But he wasn't done. He started challenging our nutrition, training, and supplementation recommendations, and we easily countered all his arguments. He would essentially make an argument, we would break it down, and then he would jump on to the next one. And then suddenly the call got disconnected. I actually thought he cut the phone on us, but he messaged me later saying that his phone got discharged. So I told him, you know, Jitendra, since you spent so much time arguing with us on the phone and on Facebook, let's get on a Skype call, let's have a debate, let's record our debate and publish it for everyone to see. And you can see our conversation on your screen right now. He declined by saying that he isn't the arguing types, which is strange because he literally spent an entire evening arguing with us. Then he told me I should meet him in person. I agreed and invited him for lunch the following day. He declined by giving another sorry excuse. And this is where the conversation ended, or at least I thought it ended. The following afternoon, Vivek messaged me and said that Jitendra had made a post about us on his group. And you can see the same on your screen right now. Firstly, I want you to note that he didn't directly address us or tag us in this post, even though he made it blatantly obvious that he was referring to us. I want to highlight a couple of things here. He said, and I quote, "You may be right, but how do you know that there's not a new research around that corner that will make you wrong in a moment?" Let's excuse the poor grammar, guys, but this statement just shows how little this man knows about the scientific method. A statement of this nature can come only from a man who has no understanding of how research is done and how a scientific consensus is formulated. And I can sympathize with someone making this statement over an issue which has very little research and is hotly contested in the scientific circle. But we are talking about the basic laws of mechanics here. And he also said, and I quote, "Don't be a hater, be a doer." Remember this line, guys. These are his words, and these will become relevant later. And as you can see, again Vivek made a very respectful and polite response, and we argued back and forth for a bit before the conversation ended. This post is still up. Jitendra hasn't deleted it yet. So if anyone is interested, you guys can go and read our discussion there. Now, this entire episode happened on the 18th of July and the 19th of July. And this is where things get interesting. On the 16th of August, almost a full month after we last spoke to him, my friend messaged me and said that Jitendra had made a public apology to me and the team. So I logged in, and sure enough, there it was, and you can see it on your screen right now. And to be honest, we were all pleasantly surprised to see this. We were not expecting an apology from him. But anyway, I accepted his apology and gave him props for having an open mind and doing the right thing. 2 days later, on the 18th of August, he sends me a message on Facebook, and you can see the screenshots for the same on your screen right now. And again, I was very surprised to see these remarks coming from him. Remember that line, guys? Don't be a hater, be a doer. Anyway, we spoke briefly about a few things, and then he asked me if he could speak to me on the phone. From this point onwards, I will be playing a few clips of our 3 recorded phone conversations. Keep in mind, the total length of these conversations is over 2 hours. So, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to be able to play everything. I'm only going to play a handful of clips which I feel are most relevant to this discussion. These were the instances during our conversation where I started losing respect for this man. So, without further ado, let's begin.
Jitendra,
Hello. Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Doing good, doing good.
Oh,
Just thought of, calling you maybe because, I'm also pissed off, man. I mean, seriously. I don't know if you checked my post yesterday in the group,
okay.
okay? Like this guy Harry Sandhu, he literally pissed me off, man.
Okay.
He's going out giving out bullshit information in his seminar saying there's no life for vegans, no life for vegetarians. If you don't take steroids, there's no bodybuilding, and he's blaming groups also. Like he said, there's a new group started in this thing, and they are promoting false information and all those things. And fact is, this guy he messaged me personally almost like 2-3 weeks back and told me that I'm doing a good job.
Okay. That's
So
nice.
the kind of same guy. The kind of serpents these guys are, they're like backstabbers, man. The worst thing is that you're saying something. Basically, he joined this group, and I got to know that he is now, pulling out people from the group and actually asking them to take steroids.
Now, I don't know much about Harry Sandhu. In fact, I don't even know what his stance is on veganism and vegetarianism. And I don't even know if the steroid accusations Jitendra is making against him are true or not. Either way, I realized one thing, that Jitendra's reason for sharing this with me was to get me on his side and show me that even he has a big problem with how this entire industry operates. After this, he started applauding me and complimenting me for my work. He said he was very impressed with our articles and our knowledge, and he wanted to partner with us. He told me about his company's squads. He told me about himself, and he started making me some offers. And honestly, I don't think the word some does justice here. He basically made us a lot of offers. To briefly summarize, he said that he has a brand called Ketosis, under which he plans to conduct seminars and workshops around the country. And he wanted us to handle this entire project for him. He also said that we will author books together, write articles, do videos, do lectures, sell merchandise, sell 3 month, 6 month, and yearly transformation plans. He also told me about his plans for body power. And he said that he would invite me to conduct a seminar there. And finally, he said that he will dedicate an entire section on his website to an online fitness academy which will be powered by our company, Alfraj. He also wanted us to head his technical team. Listen to this.
Exactly. Let me handle the appealing part. Okay, but this appealing part will be scientifically backed by you people. So if tomorrow someone comes and tells me that this guy is stupid, he doesn't know shit, I'm tell them, man, this is my technical team. Now fuck with them. Okay. So then we are going to rape that guy in public.
At this point, it almost felt like he was a little desperate for our services, and he was ready to shell out as much money and as many offers as he could to get us in. But to me, it all seemed a little vague and haphazard, and I would keep interrupting him and cross questioning him. And I think he slowly realized that I was not showing much interest. And then he had this to say.
You can have that contribution in academy thing. Second thing is, uh, see, for any business, man, if you don't have the kind of credibility or you don't have a face in the market, no matter how good you are, you won't sell. True, right? And sometimes you have to play with big players to beat some asshole big players in the market. Yeah. So being a diplomat is what I'm talking about here. Okay.
Okay.
So we are going to have some tie-ups with some major players in the market.
Right.
And not just major players, these are like heavy duty major players, okay?
So I guess this was his way of saying that he knows we are very good, But if we want to become popular, we would need to partner with someone like him. Anyway, I had a problem with him using this diplomatic approach. I told him I like to be more aggressive and direct in my approach. Then he brought up Kaizat Kapadia, and he said that what we did by challenging him to a debate was good, but we shouldn't be so direct and aggressive. Instead, he offered the following solution. Check this out.
Keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. We are not going to destroy terms with him. We are going to make him feel that we are only walking on his footprints. Okay,
Yeah.
first of all, we should not let him for a moment figure out that, we are working against his interests. If that happens, he has massive contacts in the industry, will be fucked big time.
Remember that line, guys? Don't be a hater, be a doer. Of all the things I can't stand, the one thing I have a huge problem with is cowardice. I can never bring myself to be deceitful and manipulative just to get popular and make some extra money. And this is something I see all the time in the fitness industry. At this point, I was pretty disgusted. So anyway, I told him very clearly that 1, I have absolutely no interest in intentionally interfering in someone else's business as long as that particular person is humble and minds their own business. And 2, if I have a problem with someone, then I will confront that person and tell him exactly what I think about him. I didn't like his diplomatic approach. Then I voiced my biggest concern. I told him that we went through his material, his articles, and his books, and I'm sorry to say that most of the information he shares on his group just flat out contradicts the scientific evidence. I told him that Alfraj is an evidence-based organization, and if this is how he plans to operate, then we won't really get along. And to my surprise, he actually agreed with me, and he had this to say.
Okay. And someday this group might just be deleted and we'll just have a squash page. So if you want to read the article, you go on the website. So that is where, I understand there's a lot of wrong things, okay, a lot of wrong things. In fact, in my book, there is a lot of wrong stuff. I have got it reviewed by some people. They told me, this, but I'm just too lazy to, make the changes again and lead them in the right direction. That is why I've been into touch with you guys.
Exactly.
If I am wrong, I'm saying, you correct me because you have the scientific know-how, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe it was my ego which was talking the other day when I was, trying to get into arguments with you guys, okay? I accept it. I'm not as technical as you guys, okay? Even though I'm ISS certified, ISS is certification. Fact. Okay? So let me rely on your technical know-how and let me guide people based on your knowledge.
I was pleasantly surprised and encouraged to hear this. I told him that I will have a word with the team and get back to him. I asked him for his email address, promised him that I will discuss his partnership idea with the team, and send him an email. So anyway, I met everyone and we had a long discussion regarding this. And to be honest, we are all very hesitant about this partnership. By this time, we realized that his apology wasn't sincere. And the main reason for him basically apologizing to us was to formulate some sort of partnership, and more specifically, use our knowledge and intellectual capital to propel his company forward. And the best part is, he deleted his apology later, but we decided to keep all this aside and give him a chance. I wrote him a very honest email, and you can see it on your screen right now. At this point, I would request you to pause the video and read the email. If you are viewing this video on a small screen, then head over to the description box of this video and read the email there. I want to stop here briefly and say something. At least in terms of popularity, Alfraj is a really small organization compared to squads, and tying up with them would help us greatly. It was a quick way for us to become popular. Almost overnight, our fan following would have shot up from a few hundred to a few thousand. We knew this. We had everything to gain and almost nothing to lose from this partnership, except our principles, our integrity, and our self-respect. I want you guys to understand this. If you're good at your job, if you're good at what you do, people will approach you. Companies will approach you. And there are times when you are going to have to decide whether it is worth compromising on your approach, your name, and your self respect for some extra money and popularity. We didn't want to compromise on any of that, and that is why we sent him a very blunt and honest response. He never responded to this email, and honestly, we are not expecting him to. We assumed he didn't like our proposal, and we moved on. There was no further communication between us. Until more than a month after I sent him that email, Jitendra sent me this message on Facebook. I was completely puzzled when I saw this, but I responded to him anyway. Then one of my friends linked me to a post which Jitendra had recently made. I'll give you guys some quick background here as it will become relevant in a bit. On the 1st of October, we made a post on the Alfraj Facebook page, and you can see the same on the left of your screen. On the 5th of October, Jitendra made a post on his page, and you can see it on the right of your screen. Can you spot something familiar? You know what I call this? I call this a cowardly response. Not only did he very cheekily edit our picture, but he didn't even once have the guts to mention our names. But even if we keep that aside, he completely missed the point of our post and made a very silly strawman argument by claiming that we were somehow promoting an Indian thali. And not only was his response a strawman argument, it was a failed strawman argument. He made so many errors and mistakes in his response that I honestly don't know where to begin. At this point, I realized I wasn't dealing with a rational person. So anyway, I sent him another message on Facebook, and this is how he responded. I don't even know what to say about this. This is just psychotic behavior. This is the type of behavior which comes from a man who is motivated by anger, who is motivated by insecurity. These are the type of words which come from a person who had his ego shattered and is now desperately trying to get back at us. Messages of this nature aren't worthy of any response, so I stopped responding to his messages. But I'm going to respond to them now. Jitendra, if you're watching this video, I want you to listen to this very carefully. This is a personal message for you on behalf of myself and Team Alfraj. Jitendra, you're someone we never knew, never heard of, and never had a problem with. Yet in the last few months, you've repeatedly attacked us, both publicly and personally, for no apparent reason. You've made comments and then deleted those comments. You wrote us an apology and then deleted that apology. You seem to have a problem with the information we share and the way we go about our business. I had invited you in the past to debate me on a recorded Skype call, and you refused. I invited you to meet me in person, and you refused. You want to put an end to this nonsense once and for all. Because quite frankly, we are fed up of you. We are fed up of your repeated attacks, we are fed up of your drama, and we are fed up of your childish behavior. We are also appalled at the amount of misinformation you share publicly. You showered me with a lot of abuses in your messages recently. I don't know if you really meant what you said, or you just said this to offend me and make me angry. I'll just respond to one thing you mentioned there. You made fun of Sikhism. You compared homeopathy to my religion. Do you realize how unbelievably stupid you have to be to do that? You can make fun of my turban and how I dress, but I just want to say that I'm not religious, so I wasn't offended as such. But be careful what you say online. I know it's really easy to sit behind a keyboard and type abuses and insults, but you may just end up offending someone you don't want to. With that said, I am now going to issue you a challenge. Since you spent so much time arguing with us, publicly and personally, and typed out lengthy responses to all our posts, we think you should have absolutely no problem having a debate with us in public. We can discuss center of mass, we can discuss homeopathy, we can discuss complete and incomplete protein sources, and we can even discuss my turban and the way I dress. There are so many things you seem to have a problem with. You can use this opportunity to publicly debate me on these topics. My only condition is that we will video record this debate and publish it on YouTube for everyone to see. Sitting behind a keyboard and typing responses in front of your fans is easy. But backing your stance with some substance when someone issues you a challenge is what separates the men from the boys. And it is what separates an expert from a pretender. And before I sign off, I want to say one last thing to you, Jitendra. I sincerely hope that in time, you will keep your biases aside and use your position of influence, which you somehow acquired, to spread good information. There are a lot of people who trust you and put faith in you, and you have a big responsibility towards them. I hope that you can find it within yourself to reflect on your actions and your behavior and realize that everything you've done or said so far was entirely unnecessary. I hope you take this in good spirit and accept the debate, and I look forward to hearing from you.
I know you are like very you like to debate, man, and trust me, you will win. But unfortunately, in India, the one who wins the debate is the one who loses.
Okay.
See, for example, Arvind Kejriwal, okay? He's a very logical guy. I love him, man. I like him. I mean, he's qualified, he's this and that. But at the end of the day, who won? Modi, right?
You know,
Just giving you an example.
yeah,
Example, man. Example.
I know,
There are lots of scholars. You know, people don't follow professors from IIT, but they fucking follow Radhe Ma,
yeah,
who says I'm pure and pious. So you have to first develop that kind of logic, right, in people. You are dealing with buffaloes and cows.